This is the Houndsman XP Podcast.
Good dog, get that bear. Get that bear in
The original podcast for the complete houndsman.
Look at your coat and go, Justin! We're gonna get him! We're gonna get him!
The podcast that represents our lifestyle of extreme performance.
Get up there! Get him! Get him! Yeah! Good boy! Ranger!
Uniting houndsmen across the globe, from east to west, north to south.
You know, if you're going to catch a cat or a lion, you know, you have to have teamwork.
We take you to the wildest places on earth.
Yeah, so how many days a week can you spend out there?
As much as I can, to be honest with you. Anytime that I get, I'm out there.
Join us for every heart-pounding adventure on Houndsman XP.
I'll tell you like I tell everyone else, I'm going to hunt whether you're here or not, so you might as well be here.
There we go. All right, now I think we're live. And
all right.
I would like to welcome everyone here. Thank you for listening to The Truth on the Houndsman XP Podcast Network. And today, I'm lucky enough to be joined by Mr. Shane Patton of the Professional Kennel Club. Shane, how you doing, buddy?
Doing good, Josh. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
I appreciate you being on here, and it was kind of short notice. I just talked to you on Friday or something like that, and you said we'd get her in on Monday. I know you're busy. I'm not going to keep you long. I'm actually busy too. I'm parked in a roadside park somewhere in Missouri in my truck.
I understand.
Yeah,
I understand 100%. Now we stay fairly busy, that's for sure.
And
always something.
I wanted to get you on here because, and we're going to talk about all this later, but as a preface to what we are going to talk about, last couple podcasts, I've said some, I kind of banged on PKC a little bit, beat you up a little.
Sure.
And I wanted to make sure that, we hear both sides and both points of view. And so I reached out to you and you said you graciously accepted, and we appreciate it. But we'll talk about that, coming up. But also, first of all, like I mentioned to you earlier, I want to talk about Mr. Jarvis and his recent passing. And I was just wondering, if we could, what Jarvis did for PKC and PCA and the history of all that stuff was incalculable. And I just wanted to, get PKC's, stance on that.
Sure. Well, he's the founder. He's the one. He's the he was the legend. I mean, from a house in Mississippi grows to PKC of today. I mean, that's the short of it. He had a vision, and gosh, he had a love for coon hunting, as we all know. Yeah. And he had a love for competition. I mean, if anybody drew Jarvis, they knew he had a love for competition. He let them know.
Yeah.
He was a competitor just like all the other members, but he had a passion for coon hunting and competition, and he put it all together.
Mm-hmm.
And he had the mind, he had the gift of gab.
Yeah.
I mean, his speaking ability was through the roof. If anybody ever heard him talk, I actually think we have. I think Jerry Mall might have actually put it on the website. His video of him speaking at the youth banquet a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And that all contributed to him being the founder of PKC. And gosh, he's the reason we're doing what we do today. There's no doubt.
Yeah, we can't credit him enough.
No, I mean he's the whole reason that we're having, the Vicksburg.
Mm-hmm.
That's something he always wanted to do. He always wanted competition, and he tried to take care of the members. I mean, he was absolutely a Christian man. Him and Miss Joyce, two great people.
Yeah.
And I talked to Joe. I actually went down Saturday and got to talk to Miss Joyce a little bit. And of course, obvious tough time, but she was she was doing good. She's a strong woman, and because they were married for I think somebody told me over 60 years, and I think she was behind every good coon hunter. There's usually a good woman.
You bet.
And she contributed to PKC. I won't say as much as Jarvis, but she sure had a big hand in it. And he's absolutely the reason that we get to do what we love to do 364 nights a year.
Yeah.
We'll take Christmas off.
You bet.
So,
No, Jarvis.
He's a legend.
One of my memories of him, and you talked about him taking care of the members, and I didn't get to know Mr. Jarvis as good as you would, or some of the other guys that worked so closely with him did, or was around him a lot did. You know, I listened to him speak. I listened to him. You know,
and he and like I mentioned earlier, could talk and tell stories behind the desk there. Of course, he had his chair. You know, he had his own chair, and he sat back there. And the stories he could tell.
Yeah,
you could just sit there.
I wish we'd have been doing this podcast earlier, and I could have got Mr. Jarvis in his own kitchen and at his own table and sat down.
Absolutely. Well, I think Coon Hunting University, the other podcast, I think they were going to, and I think he kind of fell ill.
Yes.
Right at the time they were gonna do the interview, and the rest is history. They didn't get to get it done, but he could tell a story. You felt like you were right there. You felt like you were in the woods with him.
Yeah.
And here recently, since I started working for PKC, I got to kind of sit back, and while everybody else was out trying to tree a coon, I was back there listening to those stories. You know, he could tell them one after another, and the more people that came in, the more the circle around him got bigger, and the stories continued, and he was and the word legend or goat, is used all the time, but there is without a doubt he is the legend of the sport.
You bet.
Because he is the one. He's the one that started every single bit of it.
Yes.
And it continues to grow to this day. Like I said, what he started in his basement in Mississippi continues to grow nationwide.
And we're going to talk about the biggest money payout hunts that PKC's ever sanctioned are coming up here pretty quick. We're going to touch on that later, and that's going to talk about some other stuff too, Shane. But you mentioned while everybody else was out going to tree coons, and you were able to stay at the clubhouse and do stuff like that. It wasn't very long ago. You were one of me. You were out there being miserable and hiking up these hills and following these dogs around. And you just started for PKC. You took over for Mr. Jerry Mull, and Jerry had been there for a long time. Those are big shoes to fill for Jerry. So how's it going? I mean, how's it different from being just a regular handler? You were a pro judge several times and all that stuff to being a PKC employee.
It's definitely a change. I was, like you just said, I was one of you out there, or I was trying to keep you in line. One of the two.
Yeah, that's right. We all need help. Yeah.
And it's different. I've always, to me, coon hunting, competition coon hunting especially, is an addiction. I don't care what anybody says. If you are out there in the driving rain and the snow and the wind, you're addicted to it. Because that's the only reason you be out there is because you love to do it, and it's an addiction. I mean, that's what it is. We're out there thriving to see our dogs finally tree a coon or whatever it may be. But it's I've really thoroughly enjoyed it. It's been a change. I used to work at a water treatment plant. That was my job while I was running up and down the road. Yeah. And Jerry retired, and Roger called, and we talked, and I've been helping quite a bit at Salem and basically all the major events. I've been to the Super Stakes, the Spring Super Stakes, and the truck hunts, and I had an idea of the behind the scenes works that went on, but I'm gonna tell you, Jerry was a good one. I don't care what anybody says. People may have a different opinion, and that's absolutely their right to have that. But he did a great job. He kept things in order. And if there was a problem, most of the time he took care of it. And it is a lot of responsibility. I'm not trying to sugarcoat it at all. It's a lot of responsibility. Everybody's not going to be happy when you're done.
Hey, are you sure? You're correct. No way.
No
way. You're going to have members. You're going to have members complaining. Oh,
yeah, just a few. It's not bad. But you know, I do miss it a little bit. I won't lie. I miss drawing out and getting out there and going competing. I hunted for David Dial up until I took this job. And I got to give a shout out to David too. Took care of me for my dad passed away. What will be 5 years ago in February, and David's took care of me ever since. And we started running the hunts. But it's a change to get everybody on the card and get everybody called out, and then they go hunting, and I'm waiting on them to get back. It's a different feeling, but it's going good. I really enjoy it. I enjoy talking to all the hunters just about daily. Yeah. And so far, so good.
You mentioned your love and your addiction for it. When did you start coon hunting, Shane? When did you first start turning dogs loose?
I was about 8 going with my dad, and there was a guy who lives right here, lived about 5 miles from where I live right now, and he had cur dogs, mountain cur dogs. And gosh, I can remember they weren't worth anything. They were, looking back, they were terrible. We treed possums. Yeah. We run deer. We did it all. But you know what? Golly, I was out there, and there was usually 3 or 4 of us went. My dad and him. There was another buddy who lived across the road. Went, and hey, we had a big time.
When did you first start hunting with hounds, as opposed to cur dogs?
My dad actually had a hound at the time. Yeah. And I would have been probably 8 or 9 then too. It was not long after that he got a hound, and this gentleman that I'm talking about had the cur dogs. His name was Mutt Raymer. He died.
He must be gone from this world, or you wouldn't be running that man's dogs down like you are right now.
He's gone. A great man, but you know, looking back, hey. Yeah. He was a good man, not good dogs. That's right. Then Dad started messing with the hounds, and gosh, I didn't really start. I wish I would have. Yeah. You know, the youth was still going. You know, back then I'm not that old. I'll be 37 next week. Yeah. So I started really competition hunting when I was about 13 or 14. Started in UKC, local clubs. Still got a club about 2 miles from my house. Yeah. That's where I started. And then Ronnie Smith, who lives 15 minutes from me, he was a part of the club, and they were having PKC hunts. And at the time, you know, there was a perception from the outside that PKC was tough, man. Dogs were mean. You had to do this and that. And I was scared to death.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm 14, don't know a whole lot anyway, dumb.
That mindset still persists in some circles.
You're right. Yeah. You're exactly right. And maybe I'm biased, which obviously I will be, but that's not the case.
No.
I hunted my first PKC hunt. I was 15 when I first hunted my first PKC hunt, and got my brains beat in, you know how that is. It wasn't even close. But that's how it got started. Man, they were striking and treeing, and the adrenaline was going, and I really thought I was doing good, and I had 3 or 4. I mean, it was just I had 300 minors or something. It was terrible. I can't even remember what I ended up with, but from that night on, I hunted PKC ever since. That's how it all started. It's been good.
Do you envy them kids? Or I don't envy them. I get mad at the kids that win right out of the get go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Win 2 or 3 casts in a row. I'm like, you're hosed. It's not like this. I hate to break it to you. It's not like this.
It's like the deer hunter who goes out one time, kills 190-inch deer. It's like, but it's not that easy. No. Go out and you win 2 casts. But it took me a year to win 2 casts. You win 2 casts the first night and got in. I mean, competition, I mean, it's fierce for lack of a better term. There's good handlers, good dogs, and I don't care if you're 15 or 55. You got to bring it every night, or you're not going to win. And there is this perception that, gosh, it's so cutthroat, and it's not. If you know the rules, read the blue book. Jerry had it on his every time he made a post.
Yep.
Know the blue book, read the blue book.
Yeah.
If you know it, know the rules, it's not cutthroat.
Right.
You just go out there, strike your dog, tree your dog, follow the rules. Hey, it's not this bloodbath that some people, and it's not like it was when I was younger as far as the perception, but it is still out there to a degree, and it's actually the furthest from the truth in my opinion.
And I think it's even more laid back now as it was 10 years ago.
Absolutely.
I mean, 20 years ago when I first hunted my first PKC hunt, it was pretty cutthroat. I mean, it was like a $15 entry at the local club, and they weren't letting no kid win that hunt, or they wouldn't let no UKC. They wasn't letting anybody win a hunt. They wanted to win, and man, they were doing whatever they could do to win. Not necessarily cheating, but it wasn't, just four buddies out pleasure hunting, striking and treeing their dog. But now I can go to a $6,500 entry hunt, and it is just four buddies out there striking and treeing their dog.
Absolutely. I judged quite a few of the 6,500s and the other pro classics.
Yeah.
And those are probably the most laid back. And I know it seems backwards or whatever you want to say, but out there hunting for 18, 20,000, most of the time, you don't have to do much as a judge. Tell them how much time's left and tell them what the score is. That's it. It's minus, plus, circle. Most of them minus their dog. Hey, just tree me for 100, but minus me, I left. That's it. It's that simple. There's not a lot to it. And it's laid back. It's just smooth going. And it's been that way for quite a while now. I'm not going to say back in the day, back in the glory day or whatever you want to say, that stuff wasn't a little more cutthroat than it is now. But in this day and age, the hunts we have, I think they're as laid back as they've ever been.
Yeah.
And I think it's good for the sport. Look, like we just talked about, a 15-year-old kid's got just as good a chance of winning as the guy as the guy that's been out there for 30 years. All he's got to do is strike and tree his dog. Hey, the dog gets it done, he's going to get it done.
Especially now, which, I mean, you look at these casts, and these dogs, there's not a whole lot of arguments because the dogs are never together.
That's right.
There's a dog over here a quarter mile to the right, a dog over here a quarter mile to the left. There's one in front, one behind you. I mean, there's not a lot to argue about.
There's nothing to score. There's nothing to. No, they're not. They're not together.
Is that your TrackMan dog barking in the background?
That's a TrackMan female and trader.
There you go.
You're back. But there's not a lot of dogs are by themselves, half mile apart. Hey, there's some walking now. I think there's 3 times the walking in a cast there might have been 15 years ago. But as far as, no, they're not together. Go in, score them. Hey, plus or minus, walk a minute. Let's do it again.
Yeah.
And I understand stuff happens where situations arise where things can get kind of gummed up or whatever you want to say. But 99% of the casts go as smooth as you could want. And it does have a lot to do with a good judge. I understand that 1,000%. And we have some of the best in the business, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I could go down through the list. I won't single anybody out, but we've got the best there is to offer. They're dedicated. They do a good job. And that goes a long way in having a good cast.
90% of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we've all had a cast where things didn't go exactly right and things may have got, but 90% is a good number.
Yeah.
The judge sets the standard and it's as smooth as can be.
And it seems like when those handlers know, judges all have a reputation. You know, we've all had the same judges and stuff. And when a good judge goes into a cast, it's the handlers are not on edge, and they're not, you know, they know what they can and can't do and stuff. And it just seems like from the onset with a good judge, you just never, you know, that the onset of the first 5 minutes of the cast is how the cast goes the rest of the 2 hours.
That's exactly right. And I use an example. When you were in school, you had the teacher.
Yeah.
But when the substitute teacher came in,
that's right.
Hey, you might throw that paper wad or talk when you wasn't supposed to, but the judges we have, they're the teachers full time. When they call the cast, they see Brad Durham. I'll just use him as an example. One of the best, if not the best, judges around, in my opinion. When he's on a cast, hey, it's business. Yeah. They know if they're a little out of line, they're probably going to get the minus. If it's what it's going to be. And it's going to be done right. It's going to be done straight. And the teachers in the office will say so.
Exactly.
So, and I realize sometimes the number of judges available is an issue. Not everybody wants to judge, and I understand that. I completely get it. Not everybody is capable of judging, and most people are honest and say, hey, look, I don't know the rules good enough. I don't need to be out there judging. Hey, completely understand it. You enter, we'll get you a judge. Mm-hmm. And judging's not easy by any means, as you know as well as I do. It's not, it's not something that everybody is cut out to do, nor does everybody want to. But the judges we have are some of the best, in my opinion.
And what we've already got in. Now we've got into judges. I was going to get into this later, but I'm ready to delve deep now. What? I was just at La Plata a couple weeks ago, and Eldon's going through the list, asking me who I thought could judge and who I thought could judge, and who would this guy be a good judge. He judged last night and stuff, and Eldon's trying to figure out who's going to judge, in the early rounds for the hunting judges.
Sure.
And I told him, I said, Eldon, if they can pay a $2,500 entry, they ought to be able to know how to judge. Most of these guys, there's 64 people here. They can probably all judge a cast. I said, take someone who didn't judge last night, make them judge tonight. And so he's going down the list, and he looks, he goes, oh, yeah, here's one right here. And he shows me the name. I said, no, not him. I said, no, that's a bad idea. I said, don't do that, guy. Then I'd go to that one. He'd say, well, he judged last night. I'd go to that one. He'd say, he judged last night. But, so I understand you said it's not a job for everybody, and it's not. And not everybody, even what makes you a good handler doesn't always it does translate most of the time to what makes you a good judge. But, sometimes it's different. And so how do we go about maybe improving the number of judges that we can get at these larger events, and maybe go from a hunting judge to a qualified non-hunting judge, or go to make sure all the judges are better at their craft or something like
that? Well, one thing, and this is probably going to contradict what I just said. Excuse me. One thing, how I started, and I use myself as an example. Yeah. Is I don't care to tell you, Roy Trammell, I hunted with Roy a little bit and just around the hunts, and he said, hey, it's time for you to judge. And the first time he told me that, I was like, whoa, wait a minute. I don't know if I'm ready to judge or not. He said, well, you know how you're going to know? And I said, no, not really. He said, I'm fixing to show you. Yeah. And he put me on a card. And that's how I started. And most of the time, judges who are starting out, haven't judged many casts, would like to judge. The cast. I'm trying to be as gentle as possible. The cast will tell you over the first few casts whether the judge is going to make it or not. Yeah. And I that's the best way I know to put it. Everybody's going to make mistakes, and everybody's human. We all are. And if you get your first cast and you go out there and judge, you're going to make mistakes. I still make them now. I've been doing it 20 years. Yep. There's guys doing it all the time. But if you grow and continue to get better, fix your little mistakes. And like I said, everybody's got things they do a little different as far as judging. But in the end, we're all after the same thing. Get it done and get it done right. As far as getting more judges, that's a good question. I think the perception that we talked about earlier that, oh my gosh, we're at a big hunt and it's going to be tough. We need to change it.
Yeah.
And that's saying it, is not going to necessarily fix it. Hey, it's not that bad. I think we just need to get more guys to do it. Maybe not I'm not talking about at the $6,500 Pro Classic level.
Yeah.
I'm talking at maybe the $30 level or the $50 doubleheader. We've got to get some guys who are willing to take the card and get started.
Yeah.
Not because everybody's got to start somewhere, and you're right on with a good handler doesn't always make a good judge, but most of the time, what makes him a good handler will also make him a good judge.
A good handler knows not only what his dog's doing in the cast anyway, but he knows what all the dogs are doing in the
exactly.
cast. And he's aware of the times, he's aware of the scores, he's aware of what he has to do to win, and what mistakes he can make and still win, or what mistakes are going to cost him to lose, or anything like that.
Exactly. And all that rolls right into judging. He knows what every dog's doing. He knows what they sound like after the first 10 minutes. Everybody's got open and running. He's got them picked out. He knows what dogs wear. He knows exactly. And he also knows, and this does come into effect, in my opinion. He also knows if he was handling what he would try to do. So he knows what that handler is trying to do, no matter what it is. You can think along with the handler. Right. Hey, I know what I would be doing. I would be wanting to get this tree over here cluster, get this over here, get split, or whatever.
Have you ever been in one of them smaller hunts and some handler's just getting ready to just piss it away, and you hear his dog treat over there, and he can't lose, and he's sitting there going, "Judge, do you hear me back here?" And as a judge, I turn around and say, "Don't tree that dog, you idiot." That's right. Leave that dog alone. Right. He's done treed 3 coons. Just leave him be. You don't have to treat him. Just leave him be. And I mean, there'll be times, and sometimes it's kids, but sometimes it's older gentlemen. I had an older gentleman down at an open hunt in Arkansas that beat us the other week, and he treated his dog after the 5 at a tree that he didn't even need to tree on. He couldn't lose. And I said, "What are you doing?"
Yes. I'll try to keep it short and sweet. We are in the Nationals. This is to go. I believe this was to go to the finals of the Nationals. It's down to 2. And I don't care to tell you who they are because we've talked about this story many times. Yeah. Kevin Cable and Ryan Croson. Yeah. 3D and Little Money.
Right.
And that's where we're at. And Kevin has got
2 of the greatest handlers of all time.
Yeah, exactly. Ryan's winning the cast. I don't remember the scores exactly, but time's ticking down. We're down to 20 minutes left. Little Money's treed, and we're walking at a good pace. Hey, it's just 3 of us. Mm-hmm. Little Money, if he's got a coon, he's going to the lead. Well, Kevin, somewhere along the way, we've had a lot of action, has got the score a little off.
Yep.
He thinks he's going to have to tree another one. Hey, so we are booking it. And in my mind, I'm thinking, why is Kevin in such a hurry to get in here? Yeah. But hey, we're going at a good pace. Get in there. He's got a coon. I'm ready to cut. Well, Ryan, by this time, has figured out, hey, he thinks he's behind still. Yeah. So, of course, Ryan, he's a good handler.
Yeah.
Kevin cuts back loose. Little Money doesn't go, 100 yards. Bam, loads up. We're down to like 3 minutes left now. Nobody says a word. Boy, he trees him. That's when Ryan lets him know, hey, you're winning. You're winning. But if we can get in here and he leave or the 2 catch him or this is slick, you're not winning anymore.
Yeah.
and that's a perfect example of what you're just talking about. Long story short, we go in, Little Money's got another one, and it's over. But there's even the moral of the story is the best in the business sometimes just get a little bit off. It happens. We're all human.
I done something. Ask Casey Stollard about this. And I'm definitely not Kevin Cable or Ryan Krause by any means. But we're at the World Hunt, and Casey's hunting Image. This was quite a while ago. Duds was just a 3 or 4 year old, and I can't lose. There's no way I can lose this cast. But Image had took 50 minus early in the cast that I had forgot about. And he's treed in front of us, like 6/10 away, and most of the hunt's going to be over by the time we get there. And so I decide that I'm going to just go ahead and treat Duds running with 12 seconds to go.
Oh,
12
gosh.
seconds to go, Shane. He barks, and Ronnie Keene is judging us. I said, Ronnie, you hear me in there? He goes, yeah. I said, tree Duds. He goes, all right, for 100. And he looks at me, and Casey looks at me. He goes, what are you doing? And I said, well, you got me on the tiebreaker if you have this coon, He goes, no. He goes, I'm still 50 down if I have this coon. And I about puked. And he was so far away, and we was walking away from him. All Duds had to do was get treed in that general area, before the cast was over, and I'd still be good. We got done scoring Image's coon, and we walk out there, and Duds has moved like a mile right-handed. So it happens. People make mistakes.
It's easy to do.
Yes,
easy to
it
do.
is easy to do. All right, what were we even talking about? We were talking about judges.
Yes.
Oh, one thing I was going to ask you is, you went on to be a regular judge at a lot of these bigger events, the $6,500 hunts and stuff like that. But you also had some success before you get in there. When did you start winning in PKC?
I actually started hunting for Toby Bolson, who lives a couple hours north of me. Mm-hmm. He had a dog named Ransom.
Yeah.
Actually came from Ryan Croson as a pup. And that was actually the first dog that really got me in the winner's circle, you'd say. Won the Illinois State hunt with him. Didn't even have a Nationals ticket until I won the Illinois State hunt. Got in the Nationals, got in the final cast. Hello.
All right. You got me loud and clear again?
I got you good now, buddy.
All right. Go ahead, Shade. If anybody... now that we've got this little hiatus here, I'll just say that my podcaster ran out of batteries halfway through Shane's story, so we'll just take off where we left off, and that was when you started having some success in PKC.
Yes, I had a hunting for Toby, had a dog named Ransom, got in the finals. The Nationals, like I said, had Barry Kitty and Sluggo in there, and that's really where it started. And then I had a couple dogs, got in the final top 6 of the World Hunt with the dog I had from my dad, and Toby had a little female. We got in the Super Stakes all 3 years. Had 2 cast wins and never could get past.
That's hard.
Never could get past 2 cast wins.
That's hard to do in itself, though. Once, let alone 3 times.
Exactly. I thought so. And then most recently, David Dial and Randy Morgan bought a dog, and I named Latch, and I've had some pretty good success with him, and so that's how it started, and that's how it's finished for now. Yeah. So that was the start, and well, I did okay.
Tell me about your national final cast.
Oh my gosh! If anybody ever tells you that they're not nervous in a national finals, I judged when Jed won it with Trader. I judged it. I'm not saying he was nervous, but if you're not nervous,
he was nervous.
I agree. I agree 100%. I agree 100%. If you're not nervous and you just don't love to do it, I was out there with Sluggo Patton, Charles Patton. Everybody knows him as Sluggo, and Barry Kitty, 2 legends. Oh yeah. Again, we're throwing that word around, but without a doubt,
we can do that with Sluggo and Barry Kitty.
Exactly, and we all get treated out of the truck. I got 150. Sluggo, I don't even remember what Sluggo had. 200. The long and short of it is, Bill Stokes is judging. Clayton Dial's a backup judge.
Yeah.
Got the panel. I tree another coon. We can't find it. Clayton finally finds it, and I've took the lead. Rat slides over, trees another one. He's got me down. I'm down 50. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, I'm down a quarter. And I've hunted this dog, Ransom, for quite a few years now, probably 2.5 years. And I'm anxious. Adrenaline's going. I cut him loose off his last tree. We score rat. I've heard him bark probably 1 million times in his life.
Yeah.
Rat goes out there and barks, and I jump up and just strike Ransom Boy. I mean, I just jump all over it. And Bill Stokes, who doesn't live too awful far from me, he's hunted with him half as much as I have. He said, "That's not Ransom." I said, "I know it's not. Well, what can we do?" He said, "You're mine." I said, "I completely understand."
Yeah.
But we end up treeing, I think it was 7. We treed 7 in the finals, and I end up losing by 50. Thank goodness. If I'd have lost by a quarter, I would have been sick. I'd have been sick. But hey, it was a good cast. I ended up getting second. Rat, I was treed at the end of the hunt. Couldn't hear him. It turned out not to matter because Rat rolled up about 50 yards in front of us with about 10 seconds to go and had another one.
Wow.
So, but that was a good cast. That was probably, as far as casts I've handled in, that's probably the most memorable one I was ever on. That was a classic. That was a good one.
And if you had won nationals, how's this for a segue, Shane? If you had won nationals, you would have been on the cover of Pro Hound.
I would have. Absolutely would have.
And yes. I mentioned to you before the podcast started some of the things we were going to touch on. And one of those, because like I said, I banged you guys up a little bit on one of the episodes of The Truth, and then I was able to be a guest on the Coon Hunting University podcast with Tyler. And I did a little bit there too. And I also said some good things. I also said I love you and Roger Dale and all the ladies at PKC and everybody that helps PKC. I also said that the PKC gives the hunters a big sense of comfort. You know, when I'm going somewhere and I'm hunting for, well, here before long, $100,000.
Sure.
And, you know, it's a big money entry fee. And I know without a doubt I'm going to go to a well-run event. Everything's going to go as smooth as human beings can make it. And if I win, I'm going to get my money. And, you know, everything's going to be on the up. Everything's going to be perfect. And PKC is the best at that as far as these money events go. And so I also said that. And I also said that I got frustrated. Now, let's keep this in mind. Since I've done these 2 podcasts, you guys have done a $100,000 hunt and you brought Pro Hound back.
Exactly.
So I want to say that you guys listen and be like, you know that Josh has a good point, but I'm guessing that's probably not how it went. and so I just wanted to know, you know, I didn't want to sound like I'm beating you guys up and I'm not giving you any chance to return fire or anything like that. But as far as canceling the Pro Hound goes, and as far as, you know, the way, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Shane, I think we're in the golden age of competition coon hunting.
I agree 1,000%. People say dying sport. There's problems with anything. I understand that. You know, hunting land has become an issue, especially where I'm at locally in Southern Illinois. But as far as the sport itself, I don't think it's dying at all. I think it's quite the opposite. Quite the opposite.
I think that maybe we're struggling, and not everywhere, in places at the club level.
Sure.
And most of the guys that are making the squeaky wheel are hunting only at a club level. They're probably not going to at a national level event, and so maybe that's where some of this is coming from.
I understand.
But I also said that I think that PKC should really be growing right now, and maybe I also said that I'm not in Roger Dale's pocketbook, and I don't know how PKC's doing things. All I do is come in and gripe about coffee at one event every year. And maybe holler out some calves, and I judge when I can, and that's it. So, I mean, I don't have the ins and outs, and I'm not on the inside in PKC. So, as far as what PKC's doing to grow or to help us and to help the members, I mean, you maybe you can shed a little more light on that than I can.
Well, absolutely. You know, one thing that we've tried to get better at, and I think with Chris Freiberger, who's doing an excellent job, and the youth committee is it all does start with the youth. Like I just talked about, I was 14 or 15 once, as well as you, everybody else. So we're trying to, and Amy did a great job.
She did, yeah.
Absolutely. We're trying to take it from just a record youth world hunt, which we just had, the biggest ever, back in October, and we're trying to spread it out. Hey, we're trying. I know you probably saw it. We're actually introduced the Youth Pro Classics $100 and $200 youth program. We actually just had our first one. Well, the first one was actually at the Youth World on that Saturday night. But as far as at the club level, we actually just had our first one in Ohio. Had 12 kids, and it went good. So we're trying to expand the youth program a little bit.
Yeah.
Also, what used to be the Youth Handler Showdown has now been done away with, and we're actually giving a ticket to the national, the big national, the overall national championship, and the youth national championship to the top money-winning youth each month. So we're trying to get a little more participation at that level and get the youth to come and give them a, in my opinion, a pretty decent prize at the end of the month if they can be the top youth. Right. So that's where it starts. That's the foundation, in my opinion, is the youth. We've got plenty of older members, and we're absolutely going to take care of them. But we've got to get some young and upcomers in the sport and get them involved. And as far as the older members, Roger and PKC did away with the Pro Hound, and it was obviously with some backlash. And let me start by saying, in my generation, like I said, I'll be 37 next week. Yep. I used to look at the Pro Hound religiously. When it came in, give me that Pro Hound. I looked through it. Myself personally, with the website and all the tools we have today, I personally don't look at the Pro Hound anything like I did 10 years ago. Now, the announcement was made. Roger did away with the Pro Hound. There was obviously some upset members. They made it very vocal.
Abundantly clear.
Abundantly clear.
Yes.
That's a good way to put it. And there was some personal attacks that were out of line completely. Right. And that's, I guess that's neither here nor there, but that was,
no, let's talk, because
that was ridiculous.
Yes,
in my opinion.
I think there's no reason to attack someone as a person because of a business decision that they made.
Absolutely. It's Roger's got a business to run. Yes. He made a business decision. And I think if you look at the announcement he made when he brought it back, his exact words were, I made a mistake.
Yeah.
We're absolutely all human beings. And he made a mistake. He brought it back. But the personal attacks, outrageous,
there's no
out of
place
hand,
for
and
that
ridiculous.
Too. And I mean, I've called Roger Dale, and I've called you guys, and we can be critical of each other without being vicious.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's no need for that.
We have paying members who pay a membership, and if they disagree with something that we have done at PKC, they have my phone number is posted everywhere.
Yeah.
And they have every right to call and say, look, I don't think this is right. And if that happens, we will absolutely take a step back and look. And if it's something that, hey, maybe they're right, maybe we messed this up, then we'll absolutely try to fix it. And that's basically what Roger did. He said, hey, the members are obviously still looking at the magazine and still take prestige in that magazine more than we interpreted. And hey, I think 1,000% credit needs to go to Roger for bringing it back, because look, he could have very well said, I've made my decision. It's done. The Pro Hound's done. And in 6 months, people might have forgot about it and went around about their business, but he listened. He brought it back. Come February, it'll be hitting the mailboxes again.
Yeah, and I'm glad, because I just want to get on the cover one time before they cancel it.
I understand. Hey, I got on the cover finally, but it was handing Joe Manning a plaque. So that's all I can do.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I don't want to have to go through all the trouble you went through to get on it. I just want to win a coon hunt.
I understand 100%. I understand. But as far as I jumped on the Pro Hunt a little bit there. As far as what we're doing for the members, we are constantly, and we get ideas from members themselves. Yeah. Hey, what about this? Let's try this 64, whatever it may be, 64 dog. And obviously the biggest hunt payout that's PKC ever been sanctioned by PKC is happening in February. I mean, it's to me, that's.
I don't even have it. We couldn't even get a dang entry for it.
Exactly.
That
it
was wild. I told Jed, I said, well, let's just wait a week or two and see if it's going to fill. And then he calls me the next day. He goes, yeah, it's full and another. Like,
exactly.
Never mind then.
The morning it went on sale, obviously, office phone went. The wires were hot. They had to be sold out. Literally as fast as the girls, as humanly fast as the girls could answer the phone, it sold out.
Yeah.
That's how it went. And the waiting list grew and grew and grew and grew, and it grew past another hunt.
Yeah.
So give all the props to Michael Moody.
Yep.
And the Crowville, Louisiana crew, Jesse, John Lively, Casey Dooley for. I said John Lively. Jesse, you know what I'm talking about.
Yep. I already gave him credit on the last podcast, so you're good.
All right. Okay. For getting that all put together to have another 64, and it was full when we made it because the waiting list was so long.
Isn't that crazy?
And there's still a waiting list, and it's crazy to think. And I talked to Roger about this. You got $4,000 entry fee, which is a lot of money. Yeah. Nobody is sneezing at $4,000. And we've got 128 people who couldn't wait to get entered, and still a waiting list. And I asked him this question, and I said, did you ever think when you bought PKC that you would have, we'll say 160 people ready to knock down the door to give you $4,000 so we could hunt for $100,000 purse? Yeah. And he said, no, flat out, no.
I
never thought.
I got one question for you.
Yes, sir.
Is someone from PKC going to be down there?
Yes. I will be there. I will be there. I believe Roger will be there. Good. I believe Mike Hensley's coming. And to address, and I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yes. And we'll go ahead in case someone didn't hear the last podcast. I was complaining because we had that 64 dog hunt at La Plata, and nobody from PKC was there.
Yes, and we try to get to the major events. There is, I'm the director of field operations. Mm-hmm. There's one of me, and there's hunts that go on all across the country, as everybody knows, each and every night, and especially the weekends. We try to cover the major events the best that we can. And I know people say, well, if you just get somebody to come to the hunt, maybe it doesn't have to be me. Maybe it can be Josh McCallum. I'm just throwing you out there. Maybe it can be Josh McCallum. Well, I'm the one that's still going to have to put the matchups and put the stuff on the website. Mm-hmm. So, and I understand that people want somebody there. I get it 1,000%. I understand. But sometimes it's just not physically possible to have somebody at all of them. And I get everybody's concern, and we try our best to make it to the ones we can, but being at every one of those will not be possible. And UKC, hey, they've made leaps and bounds, and I'm not. Mm-hmm. They've done good for themselves. They don't have everybody at any of them either, so it's just really, really hard.
Well, one thing about UKC's kind of like the stepmom, because I don't ever hunt over there, so I can't complain about them.
I understand. It's we do our best, and I know sometimes that may not be good enough. Sometimes members disagree with what's done, but we do our very best to get to every major event we possibly can. And if I'm not there, if Roger's not there, if we don't have Mike Hensley there, then I'm on the phone with them plenty, getting the matchups, getting the results, so we can get them on Facebook, get them on ProHound as quick as we possibly can. And this is not tooting anybody's horn, but I think we do a fairly good job of keeping the, computer coon hunters. Yeah. Is that what you want to call it?
Heck yeah, I've been one of those at the time of my life, so I'm not going to knock them yet.
Exactly. We try to keep them pretty well informed on what's going on, and again, we try to make it to the big ones, and we'll continue. So we got plenty coming up. I know the January and February is going to be busy times.
It is. So we got Pro Classics. We got the Lone Star, the Jewett Classic, the Black Eyed Pea, all that stuff coming up, and then in February, of course, we're coming up with the $100,000 stuff.
Yep. I got the truck hunt the weekend before that, so it's I think it's back to back. Senior Showdown, Vicksburg $100,000 double Pro Classic, and then the Winter Classic, Monticello, Arkansas.
Yeah, I forgot about the Winter Classic too.
Yeah, I think February, starting the first of the year, we're gonna be rolling right on through. We'll have plenty up and coming events, and hopefully, and like I said, I think we're making strides. Again, we're hunting for $100,000. I mean, people say it.
Yeah, I wish I'd have aired the podcast after the $100,000 hunt, because all that stuff. I'm pretty sure you guys did all this just to spite me.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I'll show that Michaela. Show your growth. Here's $100,000.
Exactly. Well, and it's been in the, obviously it takes time to plan all this out, and Roger is very, very good at coming up with these events. Now, I'm not saying this was all his idea, and I'm not, PKC is not taking all the credit for coming up with this idea. So don't think that. But as far as coming up with an event, he's really good at it. He knows exactly how to make one work. And I know a lot of people probably don't see that. But I do on a daily basis, and he's good. I promise you, he's good. And Roger, I don't mean to jump around, but Roger tries to take care of the members as well. I know the decision with the Pro Hound was something that people think, he did in spite of the members. Yeah. That was not the case at all. He thought that the Pro Hound was a tool that wasn't being used by a big majority of the members. Yeah. He was wrong, backtracked. So, and I know the perception was, Roger got rid of it and saving all this money and yada, yada, yada. That's the truth of the matter was the tool wasn't being used. So we thought, we were wrong. It was made right. And the world's happy now.
Yeah. So I want to give Roger Dale credit for bringing it back, and you guys for bringing it back and listening to the members and stuff like that. But also, one of the critiques that I have that I haven't expressed is sometimes a little more transparency, But I also understand decisions have to be made that are tough decisions that you don't want to just run by everybody. But sometimes maybe a feeling out process, a little longer one before a decision like that's made is better. Maybe it's worse. Like I said, I don't know for sure.
Well, and the Pro Hound magazine is strictly a business, for lack of a better term. It's it's something that he has to have printed, and paid for, and so on. There's a lot of things, in my opinion, that we are good at transparency, and again, I'm not trying to any rule change. We have an executive committee that we run, and it's some pretty, I won't say names right now, but it's pretty experienced coon hunters. We'll say that, and we bounce all kinds of things off of them constantly. And I know that the members don't see that maybe as much as they should, or maybe as much as they want to, but there's constantly things being bounced off, and we don't take a lot of things to the members that the executive committee don't think are good ideas. It's kind of like our the member representation, for lack of a better term. I know we have state presidents, but the executive committee is the start. Hey, this is not a bad idea. Let's take it. We just did this very thing with the $100 open events. Which the legacies in some places were struggling to fill. And clubs were getting their permits for their clubs and doing all this, and then the hunt's getting canceled because they only had 20 entries. So we bounced a $100 open event, and I don't care to tell you one bit. Roger came up with this. Hey, called me and said, "Look at this. I've been thinking about it. It looked good." Bounced it off the executive committee. hey, I think this is a good idea. Bam, it goes to the members. So, and I understand what you're saying with the transparency. It's kind of hard because what you think is a good idea, the next person may not. So some of the things, if we put out there, some people would run with them and some would be just disgusted.
Yeah.
So
I mean, some people are they're gonna have a negative view on whatever decision you make.
And that's true.
Yeah. And then there's gonna be some people, not as many probably, that think everything you do is great.
That's right.
And so but like I just think on the pro hound instance, and we've seen the backlash after it was already done, that maybe that could have just been prevented beforehand.
And I understand what you're saying, and maybe and that falls on me. Maybe I should have got a better feel of the members, because I'll be the first to tell you, I was shocked at the outrage too, to be honest. I mean, I didn't like it. I thought it was a bad decision, but I didn't realize how many people that affected. Exactly.
And I wasn't even worried about the magazine. I was just more worried about how it looked, from what you guys were doing. I told Jed too on the same podcast, I don't read the magazine either.
and I don't want to sit here and say I don't read a magazine of PKC, but because I do open it, but it's nothing like I did 10 years ago, not even close. And I really thought that I was in a majority, and it turns out I was in a minority. Yeah. and like I said, I've said it a couple of times, took it away, made a mistake, gave it back. Maybe I should have got a better feel for the magazine and the participation in the magazine. We thought we had a pretty good feel for the members. Hey, we were wrong, and it's back. So
it takes a big man to admit when he's wrong, Shane. I may even try it someday.
I understand. I completely understand.
Shane, I know you're busy. I'm busy too, but I want to get you on here again and talk some more PKC and just talk coon dogs and stuff too. I know we're kind of up against a time crunch today.
Sure.
But I just, like I said, I really appreciate you coming on here and giving the PKC side of things and the Shane Patton side of things. And so hopefully this gets the listeners to maybe get out there, check out your local PKC club, and quit calling Shane, first of all. Here's phone ringing in the background during this whole thing.
That's part of it. Hey, if you're thinking about trying a PKC hunt, don't think about it. Go do it.
Yes.
I appreciate you having me on, Josh. We sure appreciate it.
All right. Tell Roger Dale that I want some more Dunkin' Donuts coffee at the next event I'm at, and we all love him. And we all do love PKC. We really do.
We appreciate y'all's support, Josh. Sure appreciate it, man.
Thank you, Shane.
Thank you.